Commission meeting, Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. I'd like to start the meeting. Please stand with the Pledge of Allegiance. Item number 3 on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion a second. Any additions or corrections? Any comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item number 4 is an invitation for a citizen to schedule time on the commission agenda for an item not listed. There is a 5-minute time limit per person. Anyone wanting to speak during this agenda item must sign in prior to the start of the meeting. No commission action will be taken during this agenda item. Any requested action items may be scheduled for a future meeting date. We have a few individuals here today. With Diana Page is first.
Hello, Diana Page, Brookings. As you can see by this handout I've given you, the Brookings County voters have spoken against RL 21. Especially in Aurora, you'll notice that it was 74% against the pipeline, or RL 21. With that, I'd like to recommend that Brookings adopt similar setbacks to Spink County, because Summit isn't going away, and they're actually applying for a permit today. And also, Representative Will Mortensen in the legislature said last year that there's many more coming. Well, some of the basics of the setbacks in Spink County include a half-mile setback from a residence and 2 miles from a high concentration area such as a town, school, hospital, nursing home, or facility with 100 or more animals. And we believe that Falk and Sanborn counties are also adopting these setbacks. And there's a contact number there from Spink County who is very involved with the setbacks there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next on the list will be Rick Weibel.
Good morning, Rick Weibel from Elkton, South Dakota. Also sit on the city council there as well. Thank God it's November, and I'm thankful for all of you. I'm thankful for my life as well. As last Tuesday, I hit a deer at 65 miles an hour, so I'm still a little bit scrambled with that concussion. Totaled my car. 2 things. Number 1, elections. Number 2, the pipeline. I'll have a more expanded report after December 15th once the statutory deadline for the voter histories are completed, and then I'll be able to give you kind of a more complete view of that. Number 1, within that, I think we should remove vote centers. Because of the way that we do post-election audits in this county, we're not actually looking at the absentee ballots, and I think that needs to change and be more inclusive. Plus, it puts a security risk of mixing up ballots throughout the county that we should strongly avoid. We should also be looking at cleaning up the voter rolls. I know a person who voted from my son's house who hadn't lived there in years, but still votes from there, and there are others as well. We should also make sure that sample ballots do not have the real timing marks on them. That was done here in this county, and so it'd be easy for somebody to purchase the blank ballot stock and then print the ballots. For more information, I'm in the movie Vindicating Trump, where I was vetted by 6 attorneys. We proved that, and also in Minnesota, 19 counties failed that, as well as many counties here in South Dakota. We need to have better test acts. They're not sufficient enough in this state. I'll continue to work towards that. In analyzing another state, in Wyoming, for example, during their primary election, 23 out of 23 counties violated their state statutes. We're holding them accountable. And we want to try and make improvements here in South Dakota because they're not properly testing the disability devices, where it's a barcode versus looking at the actual name, or on a standard ballot, it's the oval. They're not tested equally in the state of South Dakota in the analytics that we have done. Our election system is old and it's unforgivable. 4 of the counties that have the laptop don't have an updated antivirus for the last 5 years. Windows 10 expires next year on October 14th. We need to be replacing our election systems, and right now ES&S does not have a single system on Windows 11. Dominion has just submitted a system for review, finally on Windows 11. And even they've replaced all of the Linux systems for ES&S to a new version that we don't have in this state. It's also disgusting that the Colorado Secretary of State released all of the BIOS passwords of the ES&S equipment, putting our state at risk. That's worse than what Tina Peters did. Regarding the CO2 pipeline setbacks, I want to inform you that under the Federal Natural Gas Act, the federal government is prohibited from overriding a local setback. So you have the authority to create the setbacks. Also, the Pipeline Safety Act under Part E does not authorize the Secretary of Transportation to prescribe the location or routing of a pipeline facility. So you, as the county, have the right to set those setbacks to keep all of us safe and look at what is appropriate, especially when 59% of the county in this election did not agree with the state legislature and basically said no to that bill. Lincoln County has already set a 1,855-foot setback, and Minnehaha has already set a 330-foot setback. And as mentioned earlier, there will be other counties coming forward. I think we should take a lead in that and look at it. But I also think as a county, we should look at the assets that we have here and start encouraging folks that can actually use the CO2, such as bottling companies, fertilizing companies, to start investing in Brookings so that we can have a local solution without long-run pipelines. Thank you.
Next, Melissa Elijah.
Good morning.
Morning.
On November 5th, the voices of South Dakota and Brookings County were heard loud and clear. 59% of the residents defeated Senate Bill 201, which would have allowed the 3-person Public Utility Commission to override and preempt county ordinances and setbacks. As a matter of fact, 65 out of the 66 counties in South Dakota overwhelmingly defeated Senate Bill 201 and said no to RL 21 on the ballot. The people of South Dakota and Brookings want you, our county commissioners, city governments, and townships to retain control. I firmly believe that the PUC values the government closest to the people to protect South Dakota citizens. Why else would they have denied Summit Carbon Solutions CO2 pipeline permit back in August of 2023? The PUC was not willing to preempt ordinances and setbacks that proactive county commissioners throughout the state of South Dakota had enacted to protect their citizens. When I asked recently when the Brookings County Commission was going to step up and determine safe setbacks and ordinances for CO2 pipelines, I was told that Brookings County already has ordinance on the books regarding CO2 pipelines. If this is true, I ask you to please tell me in the county ordinance documents where this is addressed. I have not been able to find it. If you truly have been listening to the citizens who have attended several meetings in the last couple months asking you to protect us, I would think that each and every one of you could tell me exactly in your ordinance book where I can find the CO2 pipeline information. Can any of you tell me that? If you have not taken the time to listen to the forum that was hosted in Brookings on September 26th, that had pipeline proponents, opponents, and a geologist sharing important information, I encourage you to still do so. I emailed each one of you a link to that meeting. Sean was the only county commissioner who acknowledged my email and thanked me for sharing the information. The information that was shared with the public audience that evening was extremely eye-opening. Let me close by saying this. A 24-inch CO2 pipeline buried just 4 feet below the surface, under 2,200 pounds of pressure, with shut-off valves anywhere from 9 to 20 miles apart, is a recipe for death. What do you think will happen if farm equipment, a flood, or movement in the earth breaks that pipe? CO2 is heavier than air. It will hug the ground and will be pushed by our South Dakota winds. A CO2 pipeline rupture has the potential to kill tens, if not hundreds, of people in South Dakota who live along that pipeline route. I don't want my family living within a few hundred feet of this pipeline. Do any of you? I suggest that this commission establishes setbacks of at least 2,500 feet from any property line. If the property owner wishes to allow a pipeline closer to their property, they could have the option to do so. Thank you.
Jane Pafer.
I like to stand. Good morning, everybody. You last saw me here about 7 weeks ago. My, hasn't the world changed since then? Here's a quick assessment of the current state of affairs. So what's happening in our country? We've got a president who wants to drill, baby, drill. And what's happening in our region? Our northern neighbors' Pipeline Utilities Commission approved a revised route for the Summit Pipeline. This decision is expected to be contested through the court system, and while this is a big reversal, it's not the only big thing going on in North Dakota. Their governor, who was appointed by the president-elect to become the Secretary of the Department of the Interior, it's a big job managing our federal lands and not insignificantly our natural resources. As his state is the third largest producer of energy, hamstrung though they are under the current administration, you can imagine it won't take long into 2025 before the Bakken is cranking away once again. I suspect that'll start happening January 20th. The pipeline is not approved across Nebraska, Minnesota, and South Dakota. This North Dakota governor is great friends and former colleagues with another Trump appointee, and this is where you can start to see the handwriting on the wall. Trump's appointment of Chris Wright as Energy Secretary. Mr. Wright was the founder and CEO of a fracking company. You may have heard recent news segments highlighting his criticism of all things climate change and the Green New Deal. Some surmise he'll be against the pipeline. I'm not a betting woman, but if I was, I'd bet we'll see major fiscal maneuverings, including clawbacks, to accelerate the pipeline build, not to sequester the carbon, but to use it instead of water in the fracking process. And what's happening in our state, in our county? The people spoke, as you've heard. They're not giving over their private property rights for pipelines, turbines, or solar panels. And as you know, 21 was soundly defeated. However, we realize the fight is not over, and we do have a reprieve. Purportedly, as you heard from Diana, Summit is submitting a new proposal today in Pierre. I spoke with our District 7 representative who was reelected. He said he got the message loudly and clearly, and I quote, he's done with it. He won't support it again. I'm going to keep my eyes on him, and I believe it when I see it. But that's kind of the local lay of the land. That doesn't mean Summit and the powers that be can't figure out a better way to get the pipeline built. We're not naive. We understand both the money and the momentum to get this done. So why am I here prattling on? Because I think there are some things that haven't changed. Let's talk about those. We have not ceded control of our county to Pierre. Instead, we continue to applaud local control. You are that local control. Extremely importantly, the pipeline presents a very real and present safety issue, as you heard from Melissa. There remain two questionable pressure issues: the pressure of the pipeline itself and the pressure on you to approve it. Both pressures put the citizens of Brookings County and others across the state at extremely high risk. And I'm here because we've been given that reprieve. I was raised to offer constructive criticism, and I think there are things you can do, and I'm asking you to consider this an action item for future discussion. 1, it's not too late to set a precedent. You could immediately convene an ad hoc Brookings County Citizens Pipeline Advisory Board. Their purpose, reviewing various routes and plans, hearing their concerns on these issues, responding appropriately, revising when necessary prior to you are rolling out the setback requirements, terms, conditions, and limitations. Get everything on the table and sort through it. This isn't for the faint of heart. This is what should have happened from the get-go. Then, number 2, establish what the setback should be, not willy-nilly and not just taking what other counties have done, but with a well-constructed if-then guidelines that are easily understood and can be widely communicated prior to implementation. Whether you defer to railroad easements or county road easements, there is a way for the pipeline to be implemented safely without violating private property rights. Would it cost more? Assuredly. Is it worth that to save unknown lives? Most certainly.
Ma'am.
These standards
Ma'am,
should address...
Your time's about up.
I'm almost done. These standards should address the concerns of high-density populations, rough terrain, changing weather considerations of heat, cold, wet, dry, similar to many engineering firms' requirements, and perhaps most importantly, appropriate emergency response. Establishing these setback standards would be a huge job requiring all the input from the many learned folks you've heard from and about. Finally, and here's where you could be heroes, you could call for a special statewide meeting of the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners and share this process and protocol results. I understand this is a huge amount of work. I understand this would take time. I understand that it may feel that this is above and beyond your current job descriptions, and I understand it may be daunting. Perhaps I'm asking too much, and perhaps it's kind of late, but we have a year. Perhaps it's not. Please give it your earnest and thoughtful consideration. Thank you.
Sharon Larson.
Good morning. First, I want to thank you, Commissioner Hassler, for coming to the meeting on Saturday morning. It was very informative, and I appreciate that. I did go ahead and look up ordinance. I thought you said 7.4, but it was actually, I think I found it in 4.7. Okay, all right. I did find that. I haven't had a chance to read through the whole thing to find out what the specifics are. But one of the things that I do want to say is, and I won't be long here, is with the construction of the pipeline, because Summit says they're not going away. They released a statement that they are going forward, obvious by the application for a permit that they're putting in today. Last week in the Brookings paper, I ran across an article about a pipeline in Phoenix that is, the utility company is being sued or fined because a pipeline degraded due to defective materials in the pipeline. That's something we need to be thinking about too. Is it just because everybody says that these pipelines may be safe, they can't do a full quality control, and you guys know that. There can be defective materials in all kinds of different productions. So I think the setbacks that we would like you to address are very important, because things can accidents can happen, defective materials can cause devastation. And then I've also got a question about process. I'm new in this, but as far as process goes with asking you guys questions, is it by email? Can I ask a question here? How does that work?
This is just information gathering, your time to speak here. We do not answer the questions now.
Okay, even as far as process, how do I go about asking questions? Do I do it by email?
You can.
Okay, all right. I will probably be doing that in the near future, as soon as I get through this ordinances. There is a lot of legalese in there, I guess. So I won't take any more of your time. I just really would, I did want to say, consider gathering information, if you would, at the state meeting in December. That is, I believe, in Aberdeen. So thank you for your time.
Jeff Struy.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I want to test Marty, because I know he was an English major, and I wish to ask him, where did this quote come from and in what book? It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. Just a friendly test. It came from Charles Dickens. It was the opening line of A Tale of Two Cities. We happen to live entirely in a tale of two entities. We have the flyover states, which is where we live, and then we have the coasts. So there's two things to address here. We have the RL 21 mandate, which was the law was, or the ordinance, the law from the Senate Bill 201 was defeated handily by the voters of South Dakota. That was a mandate. That was the best of times. The worst of times is that Summit's not done with this. And we want to send a word, a strong word, that South Dakota voted, you're not wanted here, period. It's been voted on. Brookings County voted on this. And we just declare that our commissioners who work for the people of Brookings County need to take this mandate seriously. The Green New Deal was basically set up for Summit Carbon Solutions, and any money they receive is money coming from this Green New Deal, which was put up by the two coasts. That was the worst of times. The elections. Jenna and Lori are awesome. We live in a flyover state where we have typically very little problems with our elections. Doesn't mean that they're perfect. It doesn't mean that we can do changes to them. And as Rick alluded to, maybe it wouldn't hurt to do paper ballots, hand count, check these machines out, make sure they have the right software, et cetera, et cetera. And in this case, we also live in the best of times and the worst of times. The worst of times is that in Pennsylvania, there was a county clerk that said, I don't care what our state Supreme Court said, I'm counting these ballots, these illegal ballots that came in with no date, no signatures, and she just defied the law saying, I'm going to do it anyway. Well, the state Supreme Court of Pennsylvania just handed down, no, you're not. So I guess if she wants to defy the state Supreme Court of Pennsylvania, then I guess she's going to face prosecution. So just remember this, We live in the best of times and the worst of times. And even though we are living in the best of times in South Dakota, we have this intrusion coming in from two sides, which is the worst of times, that's permeating our living standards here in South Dakota. Thank you.
Moving on the agenda is number 5, consent agenda items, which includes the minutes, travel and education requests, personnel action notices, cellular authorizations, human services report. Do I have a motion to approve?
So move approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Any additions, corrections?
There is one correction to the minutes. The name of the individual who was here representing Skyview Junction at the licensed public hearing, that name was incorrect, so that needs to be corrected or has been corrected in the minutes.
Okay. Anything else? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Vanderwall.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Hostler.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 6, routine business, approval of the claims. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Bartley.
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Hostler.
Aye.
Vanderwall.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
6B is department head reports. Brian from the Highway Department.
Morning.
Morning.
Well, we've been quiet out at the highway shop, which is good. We've been busy. All the snow equipment is prepared. The salt shed's full, the diesel fuel tanks are full, and when Mother Nature does decide to turn on us, we're ready. Other things we've been working on, sign crews have been going countywide on township secondary road bridges to repair and maintain weight limit signs and delineation. And lastly here, last week, November 13th, I reviewed and visited each township site who applied for RAIF funding, and recommendations will be for Stacy to Stacy for the next meeting.
Okay. Any questions for Brian?
Thank you.
Thank you. Morning, Sheriff's Office.
Good morning.
Morning.
Just some quick stats with the jail. We're down in population. We have currently 39 inmates. 13 of our own inmates from Brookings County. And we got, between the state's attorney here and the state's attorney in Kingsbury, we got one sentence, which was a long-termer. So we've gotten sentenced a couple long-termers to prison. So that kind of helps a little bit on that population. Also, we're down on numbers from other counties too. At the present time, we only have 4 U.S. Marshals, and that's probably going to change after the first of the year with the Marshal Service, with the Federals. Anyway, 24/7 is down too. We usually run around that 147 to 150. We have 120 occupants, 48 on PBTs. They come in twice a day. 96 come in during the day. We have 8 on remote breath tests, 12 on Scram, 41 on UAs that come in twice a week, 8 on drug court, 1 on Hope Court, and 11 on DOI court. And I have 11 on GPS that we track. So the average so far for the year is that our average inmate population's been 52, a little over 52 inmates is our average. Also, the kitchen was inspected and got a 97 rating in there. They always got to find something to make it worthwhile, but the kitchen got a 97%. That's on cleanliness and how the food's prepared and diet and all this. So I'm pretty pleased with that. So that shows that company's doing a good job back there. Anyway, also, deer accidents have been keeping us busy. Lost a patrol car the other night. He's responding to a cow accident, and he hit a deer on the way to that. And it's about $16,000 damage to the patrol car. But main thing is he didn't get hurt and that, so forth. And I had 2 deputies out, so the other one went to the cow one, which ended up being a drunk driver. And UPD helped us out on the accident, took the accident for us. We called them out to help us. So, considering how many miles we put on and the deer accidents, we're pretty lucky. We're pretty lucky. We don't hit that many deer, but it's responding to calls is something I stress with my guys now, that they got to go to a speed that they got to be watching too. But it's tough to watch and run the radio and all this, but they do a pretty good job. Also, on the 14th, if you recall, in September, I think I might have reported that we started doing breakfast with the deputies in the schools, both at Elkton and Volga. And we were at the school in Volga on the 14th. It was a good crowd. I think I had five deputies over there and quite a few kids. There wasn't many seats left in there, so and that's going good. And we also go to Elkton. We go to school every other month. So yeah. Also, in the beginning of the month, we had training, and this is a yearly training at Deer Creek. And so my new guys that haven't really spent much time out in that area, we had a 2-hour training at Deer Creek, and they always feed us, so that's pretty good. Also, I was asked, and zoning was asked, and actually Richard, Bob was gone, so Richard came. I've had 2 meetings with Lake Ponset. On the 7th, I had a meeting with the emergency manager of Lake County, and a couple. There was the sheriff of Hamlin County and myself, and a couple bar owners and stuff. The bar owners are over there concerned about traffic and that type of stuff, because that
Marty,
81 is getting really busy.
Can we hold it right there? We do have a scheduled 9 o'clock. Can you
Okay.
come back up?
Okay. Are you saying I'm getting windy?
No, I didn't know how much you actually had. We do have a scheduled agenda item at 9 o'clock. Item A, Stephanie Mason, 2024 Brookings Economic Development Corporation Project Update.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Stephanie Mason, and I have Maddie Kerr here with me to provide some updates on Brookings Economic Development Corporation and the projects that we've been working on in 2024. So just wanted to thank you for giving us a little bit of time this morning. We'll try to be brief with our updates, but Brookings County has always been a strong supporter of Brookings Economic Development Corporation, and so we just wanted to provide some insight into what we've been up to. Go ahead. First, we just wanted to introduce our team to you. We're a small but very mighty team. So we've got Tim Reed, who is our current CEO of the organization. Myself, who primarily focuses on stakeholder relationships, partnership development, and helping prioritize the projects and activities that support to align our initiatives. Maddie, who's joining us here today, is our business development specialist, and she helps focus on developing our BR&E, our business retention and expansion program, to help support and grow businesses in our area. Nathan is our research and data analyst who helps to drive data decision strategies for growth. He also assists us with some labor reports and market research for new business growth. And then Sierra drives our communication and our operations. She's our newest member of our team, but she brings much experience in marketing for nonprofits and has jumped in with a lot of valued resources for both business and workforce recruitment this year. I also wanted to just kind of provide a brief update that, as most of you have probably already heard, Tim Reed, our CEO, has announced his retirement with BEDC at the end of this year. So very excited to have him with all of his contributions that he's provided to BEDC, and look forward to everything that he can contribute in the legislation session. In 2024, so we worked really hard to align all of our projects and activities to support these 4 primary pillars or initiatives around economic growth. Supporting existing businesses is all about engaging businesses in either groups or one-on-one to understand what their needs are and foster those opportunities. Supporting innovation and entrepreneurship is about providing resources to support new and emerging business. Recruiting and attracting new businesses is strategically recruiting businesses through site selection and relationship development that help to foster long-term growth in our area. And then collaborative economic development leadership is really just working within the region and our community partners to drive that regional economic growth. So Maddie and I are just going to talk about a couple of projects that have occurred over 2024 in those initiatives.
Yeah, it's a true pleasure to be with you this morning and to talk a little bit about an area that my role has primarily been focused in as the business development specialist. I've visited with a few of you already through the business retention and expansion program, but wanted to give some high-level updates. We have a handout that we can leave behind for you that has some good resources on all the things that we're maybe going to talk about today as well, just so that you have a little bit of a cheat sheet on how to recommend people to our services or get them connected with the help that they need. The Business Retention and Expansion Program, BR&E programs are not a new concept in economic development, and maybe it's just the first time that we're implementing a concentrated effort here in the Brookings County area. So what it aims to do is basically provide resources and support to businesses on whatever it may be, hoping to retain them and support them in whatever expansion looks like for them. If that is through expanded service lines, offering different products, or moving into a larger space because they are running out of space where they're at. So to date, what we've kind of done so far is conduct a business survey earlier in 2024, and then we've been doing on-site visits throughout the year. We have 101 respondents to our survey, and about 42 business visits and counting. We'll continue to do those throughout the rest of the year, and then kind of restart our efforts. As we look to year 2 of the BR&E program, we're going to build on the success that we have, build on the data that we've been collecting from businesses, hopefully not duplicate any efforts there, but still be able to kind of track some progress on things, track real-time numbers related to workforce. That is definitely an area that I think we want to dig into more a little bit in year 2. Year 1, the survey was relatively broad, not knowing exactly what data we wanted to collect and not having any baseline for our community. And the important part of doing a Brookings County BR&E program or Brookings area is that we are collecting that real-time information from business owners and leaders themselves. We can certainly pull statistics from the variety of platforms, softwares that we have access to about our population data, potential household median income, but really learning what's going on in our business community. We got to get out there, boots on the ground, and connect directly with those business owners and leaders to understand what kind of resources that they need tooled directly to them. So some of the high-level bits that we've gotten from the business survey and business visits so far is that there is a challenge with hiring a skilled workforce. Now, there's a variety of industries represented in Brookings that make maybe determining a skilled workforce or someone that may have a higher level of education to match their job can be a little difficult. We are primarily a manufacturing community, but we also have many other industries represented. So we'll dig into that a little bit more in year 2 to maybe understand what that means and what they need specifically. Overall, very positive from the survey results that Brookings is a safe community. They feel like their public works are meeting their needs. So that was a wonderful compliment to many of the departments that all of you oversee and operate within the county. There were certainly some comments about property tax being a little too high. I think we probably could anticipate that, and I can only imagine what all of you hear from constituents as you're out about in the community about property taxes, but it did maybe play a concern in terms of some smaller businesses and their ability to find spaces that match their needs, because potentially in those situations, and we don't have specifics to say A caused B, but rent prices were increasing, and that caused some smaller businesses to maybe evaluate if they needed to be in that space or if they could find something a little more affordable. I think back in March, April, May, we saw quite a bit of vacancy with some of our smaller businesses moving that I think has slowed down a little bit as businesses have relocated, or those vacant spaces, particularly along Main Avenue in downtown Brookings, have started to fill in. So wonderful to see, but just wanted to comment on that. Some of the business visit feedback has been that workforce challenges, across the board. I think the nature of a college town was certainly talked about, with students cycling in and out every couple of years, to a lot of subjective comments across the board on the lack of amenities, which is where our consumer survey, I think, is going to hopefully provide us a little bit more data, and we're going to leave behind some information on how you can get that link out to people to help support our consumer survey, which is basically general survey of what kind of amenities, from retail to service, dining options, would you like to see in the Brookings County area. One thing to note with our BRNE program is we did do a couple of walks. We got out to Volga. Michael Schulte and I visited with about 23 businesses. Kirsten Jesdell and I also hit the downtown area and visited with a little over 80 businesses. So it's great. It's been wonderful to get connected, and I think we're seeing a lot of positive results, and I'm excited for year 2. On the expansion support end of things, with supporting existing businesses, we've been able to do some impact studies in the case of Solventum and Marketplace, and a few other areas that we're maybe working on, or projects, to be able to really understand what that one-time or ongoing tax revenue impact or impact to service industries that are maybe involved in construction projects. Great tool that we are able to pull in-house now with Nathan Dahl Services. So through expansion support, if you know of any projects or businesses that are looking to expand and maybe want a little bit more information, that's something we'd be happy to do. And the BRNE program has also brought forth a couple of those conversations around businesses that are looking to expand, as well as conversations with our economic ecosystem partners and just generally the business community, right? I think we're always keeping our ear to the ground to see what we can hear and see where maybe we can serve as a conduit or connection point for businesses. Some other areas that we've been focusing on this year too is industry clusters. We've hosted a few events that are specific to some market segments, like agricultural inputs and manufacturing, as well as the small business community. I think that's something that we're going to look to continue to evolve in the coming years, that we're able to support those particular industries that maybe have a larger pull in the Brookings area and can really benefit from connecting with one another, seeing what the main challenges are, and knowing that they have some support and community in one another as businesses. On supporting innovation and entrepreneurship, we've got a couple of exciting programs that we were able to execute this last year. Again, we'll continue to build on it. We are a little bit of a newer team, and I think each day and each week we feel a little bit more confident in what we're able to do. And it will be really exciting to see where we're at several years from now when we're giving these updates. So the Co-Starters program is an entrepreneur boot camp accelerator, entrepreneur accelerator that comes in the form of either a boot camp or a 10-week program. And essentially what we aim to do is provide real-time help and action-driven counseling to people that are participating in the Co-Starters program to be able to, shape and mold their businesses. Folks that maybe don't have, a lot of information on how to operate a business, we're hopefully going to allow them to understand a little bit more after these programs and what goes into their businesses, making sure that they're pricing their services and goods appropriately so that they have good cash flow and can continue to operate for the years to come. So we hosted a boot camp in January, and we had 8 people participate. 7 out of those 8 had a Brookings County address. We were hoping to do one in November, a little bit on low registration, just kind of a hard time scheduling. So we're looking to reschedule that to mid-January, and I would say we probably have interest from about 7 to 8 people so far, and we'll really hit that marketing and promotion here after the Thanksgiving time. Stephanie and I also serve as Small Business Development Center counselors, and the Small Business Development Center is a statewide program. It's great that we have this resource in the Brookings community hosted through Research Park. Unfortunately, we're not able to share a lot because a big part of the Small Business Development Center is that it's confidential business counseling. What I feel comfortable sharing today is that Stephanie and I, over this calendar year, have worked with 65 clients. They are in various stages of starting their businesses. Some have started, some have had ribbon cuttings with the chamber, which is really exciting to see when we're actually there in person and experiencing that with them. We got a couple that are also really close, but I have really found a lot of joy in my job and getting to connect with people through this program, as well as support them and kind of counsel them and educate them a little bit. I come from a student leadership background in some capacity, formerly with SDSU, so it's fun to still kind of have that work and leave people with a little bit more information than what they came in with. Last but certainly not least, one of the things that we wanted to highlight is the funding assistance. Again, we see people with a variety of business stages that come in that maybe need just another $5,000 to $10,000 to get their business started, or potentially, $1 million plus to get their business started. So something that we, through our network, have access to is a variety of resources that we can either recommend or make connections to folks. Sometimes it's been getting them connected with the Governor's Office of Economic Development for those larger statewide loan programs. Sometimes it's been getting them connected with local investors or an angel investment group within Research Park that the Enterprise Institute oversees, to sometimes it's just getting them connected with local lenders. Something that we're excited that I'll probably have Stephanie talk a little bit more about, or defer some questions to her since she has been more involved in it, is that BEDC is looking to launch their revolving loan program in 2025, and I think that's going to be a wonderful asset for our community, that we can be involved in a little bit of those smaller lending projects to really support businesses that are here in the area to get them started, knowing that it can be a little daunting and sometimes can be a little challenging for small business owners to go into a commercial lending agency and get a loan due to a variety of reasons. So hopefully we're able to meet some needs and fill a little bit of a gap through that program.
Okay, so some projects that we focused on around recruiting and attracting new business, like Maddie alluded to a little bit earlier, that strategic industry engagement. So through meeting with our existing businesses within the area to understand kind of what their challenges are, maybe who their suppliers are, and some other opportunities like that, we really have tried to focus strategically on bringing in vertical industries or businesses to help support and foster what's already existing in our community. That really helps us to enable and enhance job creation and business growth. And as Maddie had shared before, some of those industries of focus are advanced manufacturing, agriculture innovation and services, and then food manufacturing as well. Those clusters have really helped us to kind of understand what some of the driving factors are that make Brookings an attractive environment for the business community, and that has allowed us to ramp up a lot of our site selector resources. So we have updated our webpage to offer some amenities that are supported across the industrial parks that live within our county, and then have also completed some site selector visits to understand what those selectors are specifically looking for, what attracts them in those marketing resources, how to engage, what channels to connect with, and some other things like that. So really developing the relationships and the resources, which has led us to secure 3 locations in the GOED Infrastructure First project. So Aurora, Volga, and Brookings are all areas that are being looked at as opportunities for available properties to proactively develop through infrastructure. And then the last one, Maddie had kind of already mentioned, is our consumer survey. So that is a county-wide consumer survey that we're hoping to just get some feedback from those that are purchasing goods and services within our community to understand what the amenities they really enjoy participating in within the area, and those that would maybe encourage them to stay within our community to do that shopping. And so to date we have 755 respondents, but are hoping to grow that number between now and the end of the year. So if you haven't taken the survey, I encourage you to do that. And then our last pillar or initiative is collaborative economic development, and this is really where BEDC is focusing to drive collaboration with other economic development stakeholders to push the ball a little bit forward. And so in 2024, we have focused to leverage our regional partnerships. So BEDC engages in several regional cities in the area to help support and foster economic growth. And through that, we've been able to do some of the things like Maddie mentioned, like the Volga Business Walk, or the Volga Business Basics was another opportunity that we were able to participate in some education to small businesses. And so just looking for ways to leverage all of the projects that we've worked on within BEDC to support the kind of more central community and ripple that out into other areas that help support economic growth for the region. We've revamped that policy partnership with our existing regional city partners and are hoping to expand that to other communities that are close by. Also on here is the data and reporting services. So having Nathan as part of our team has really helped us to leverage some of those feasibility and impact studies that can drive more recruitment and growth to the area. So we've just been focused on ramping up what those services are, how we can talk about them and share those opportunities with businesses of varying sizes and whether they're already existing in our community or looking to come. And then the Child Care Collaborative, if you're not aware, the BEDC School District and Boys and Girls Club did partner together to receive some funds from the state and other investors like the city, and are starting to tap into some businesses to help with scholarships as well, to help support and increase the capacity of infant child care from 0 to 5. So this year the school district expanded their elementary school locations to include early learning wings for 4 and 5-year-old pre-K. That added a classroom in each of the elementary schools this year, but have the opportunity to expand to more. And then in early spring 2025, the club will be opening 0 to 2 and already have 3-year-old capacity. It'll be 80 slots this spring, but the capacity to grow to 130 in the future as they ramp up staffing and operations. So that's been wonderful to see. So to date, early 2025, it'll be 120 increased childcare capacity. The space will have the ability to grow to 360 slots. So if you recall, we did a child care supply study a few years back that identified almost 900 slots for the county, 600 for the city, and so we're slowly kind of notching away at that. But I think the collaborative has opened the door for statewide kind of glimpse of some ways to collaborate creatively to help increase workforce participation is ultimately what our goal is here, and really looking at bringing the quality of care and early learning to help foster that next pipeline of workforce in our youngest citizens. So we're really looking forward to a lot of the opportunities that come into 2025. Being able to focus on those 4 primary initiatives of economic development has allowed us to dive deeper into those areas of how we can support businesses and economic growth. And we'll have more to share at our Economic Development Summit, which will be April 29th. So you all will get invitations for that. And then lastly, Tim and I were discussing, he wasn't quite sure how much he has shared with you on our ecosystem partners, so I just wanted to quickly highlight how BEDC ties into this higher ecosystem scope of how we all engage together to help support economic drivers for the community. And so we meet with the ecosystem partners, which are Visit Brookings, the Research Park, Downtown Brookings, and the Chamber primarily on a regular basis to understand how they're working with businesses and our citizens to support community and economic development in ways that we can help kind of promote and offer those opportunities, but also not duplicate services that impact the kind of same targeted audiences there. So I'll just conclude with, we do have an Ecosystem Partners Mixer this Thursday that you're all welcome to attend. It's at our Brookings Innovation Center, or the Research Park. Slight correction on there, it's actually at 4:30, that was my mistake. Starts at 4:30, goes till 6:30. We will do our Research Park Innovator Awards for our startup business and established business in the Research Park this year, but everyone is welcome to come.
If you happen to come at 4, we'll still allow it.
We'll still probably have something for you.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Very much for coming. We appreciate it.
You bet.
Thanks
Thank
for what
you
you
very
do
much
for
your
the
time.
Brookings community.
You bet. Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
Item 7B on our scheduled agenda items is Purple Heart County presentation. Lars Perry, Military Order of the Purple Heart. Would you please come forward?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
We bring gifts. I have with me today Connie and
Could we get some people in the back to come up and hold some of these signs? That'd be okay, my Legionnaires maybe? Hold signs, please, that way we can have them displayed.
yeah. So Connie's a Purple Heart recipient. Bill Flippos, a Purple Heart recipient. Myself is a Purple Heart recipient. Connie's our department commander for the Wounded Warriors of the Dakotas. Bill's the adjutant. We have also some veterans with us today. And so you will be receiving, the county will be receiving 4 Brookings County Purple Heart signs, 2 of the combat wounded parking signs, and 2 of the veteran-only parking signs. No cost to the county. County will have to put them up and maintain them, but Purple Heart, military and Purple Heart pays for it all. Cost free for the county, which is awesome. We appreciate all your support, we really do. It's not just for us Purple Heart recipients, it's for all veterans, obviously, because you got the veterans-only parking signs, and we support all veterans, so anybody in the community or any veterans want to support.
Okay.
Bill?
Yeah, so in 1782, a man among men decided and recognized that the soldiers that were fighting the battles on the front line were not being recognized at all. Actually, at the time, the only people that were getting any type of recognitions were the high generals that took credit for all the victories that the men at the time were able to fight. So he created, out of a piece of purple fabric, a heart and pinned it on 3 individuals. That was called the badge of military merit. About 150 years later, what we know now as the Military Order of the Purple Heart has specifically given to individuals that have been injured in combat situations is what we see now and what we recognize for these. Since then, since its conception, about 1.2 million Purple Hearts have been up to this point. About 500 are to women. I'm very honored to be one of those women. In South Dakota, in our great state, we have about 209 Purple Heart recipients that are registered with the Military Purple Heart, and, well, one woman. And so, in a way, I'm hoping that the county will look at these signs as their own badge of merit. It is a wonderful visual representation for all military men and women from the past, currently serving, and our future generation to see these signs and recognize that our county recognizes the service for our men and women. And I think that it's a really wonderful visual display that our county is willing to put up. And I think that it's a really great honor for all of you to allow this to be put up. In that, I do have some coins I'd like to give to you. Please take them. They're coins signed for our state of South Dakota.
Thank you.
I do have some. Please enjoy them. Display them. I also have these let's hand out. So August 7th. August 7th is National Purple Heart Day. So please feel free to put this on your lookout. Happen to remember on that day to wear these in support our men and women. Or when you're doing that 9/11 climb, you wear that too. And I'll make sure that if I see you while you're walking
Would the board have any comments?
I would like to thank all of you for being here. I think we all need to be reminded that freedom comes with a cost. And sometimes we forget that, and we look at the world today and the crisis that's going on all around the world. You guys are the shining star. The veterans of the United States military are shining stars around the world for what we've done and what we'll continue to do to save democracy everywhere. Thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd also like to add thank you, all of you, for your service, and it'll be an honor to display the signs. Okay, back to the agenda. Sheriff Stanwyck?
Why don't I just wait till next meeting to go over this stuff? I don't want to give you information overload.
Okay. Richard from County Development?
Good morning.
Morning.
Last Thursday, we had our PPC pod meeting. We went over the after action from our flu and DTaP clinic that we held recently. Everything went good. It was noticed that we had everything, the volunteers were lined up, ready to go, and 5 days before that, Department of Health came in and said, hey, as long as you're doing the flu clinic, we'd like to have you add the DTaP also. So we had to go through and find more volunteers, more help at that time. So within a 5-day period, we ramped up, were able to give the 2 shots at that time. So should the tie come that we need to do a vaccination on a short-term notice, it just proves that we can get up and get ready to go in short-term with the volunteers that we have. So shout out to all the volunteers for the pod. I'll be giving presentations at SDSU on CAFOs on Wednesday and on Friday to up at the college, one for CAFOs for the students up there and the other one for in the joint jurisdictional area for setting up a horse stable. On the EM side, our PDM preliminary product is done. That is online on First District. We have our LAPC meeting Thursday at 1 o'clock at the East Fire Hall. And also our FEMA flood maps have been approved for the update, so that'll be coming up shortly in the future here for approval of an ordinance for that, accepting the new map and the new procedures and what they would like to have. So, and Bob should be back in the office on Friday.
Richard, when do those flood maps actually take effect?
It'll be after we adopt the ordinance. We need to do a floodplain ordinance, and we have to have that done by April 15th. Okay. So after that, after we approve the ordinance and it goes in, then that's the date it'll go into effect.
So potentially next spring is
correct.
The
yep.
One. Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Finance Officer report?
I don't really have anything today.
Okay, we do have some be it noted items. Auditor's account with the treasurer, payroll and additive totals, highway expenditure report, register of deeds statement of fees collected. And we do have action to approve fourth quarter general fund transfers per budget appropriations. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any comments? Item A is from the General Fund 101-4-911-4294 to Highway Bridge Fund 201-3-371-0000 in the amount of $771,250. And the other is from General Fund 101-4-911-4290 to Emergency Management Fund 226-3-371-000 in the amount of $33,493. Any other comments or questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Moving on to regular business, action to approve resolution number 24-47, a plat of Lot 2 of Olson Addition in the southeast quarter of Section 6, Township 112 North, Range 47 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments?
Plat was heard at our Richard Haugen County Development. Plat was heard at our November meeting with unanimous approval.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Krogman?
Aye.
Hostler? Vanderwall?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item B, action to approve resolution number 24-48, a plat of lots 3A, 4A, 5A, and 6A of Hoffner Canol Addition in Government Lot 3 of Section 22, Township 112 North, Range 47 west of the 5th Principal Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments?
Yes, this also was approved with unanimous vote at our zoning meeting on November 7th.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none, call roll, please.
Hostler?
Aye.
Vanderwall?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item C, action to approve resolution number 24-49, a plat of Clark Addition in the southeast quarter of Section 31, Township 109 North, Range 48 west of the 5th Principal Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Comments?
Yes, this also was approved at our November 7th meeting with a unanimous vote.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Vanderwall?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Hostler?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item D, action to approve resolution number 24-50, a plat of lots 1 and 2 of Clark Second Edition in the southwest quarter of Section 20, Township 110 North, Range 49 west of the 5th Principal Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Do I have a motion approved?
So moved. Second.
A motion and a second. Comments?
Yes, this was approved also by the Planning and Zoning Commission with a unanimous vote at our November 7th meeting.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Bartley?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Hostler?
Aye.
Vanderwall?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item E, action approve resolution number 24-51, a plat of lots 1 and 2 of Diedrich Addition in the northeast quarter of Section 25, Township 109 North, Range 49 west of the 5th Principal Meridian, Brookings County, South Dakota. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Comments?
Yes, this also was on our November 7th agenda as approved for recommendation of approval at the November 7th meeting.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Krogman?
Aye.
Hostler?
Aye.
Vanderwall?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item F, action to approve resolution number 24-52, a resolution to rescind the burn ban enacted on October 3rd, 2024. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments?
This was a request from the Fire Chiefs Association. I know I had mentioned it to Marty, and I had sent that information off to Bob at the time too, letting them know that this was going to be on the agenda today to rescind that burn ban.
Okay, any other comments?
I'd just like to thank the county residents that didn't burn as a volunteer fireman. It was nice not to have to go out to unnecessary burns. So I just want to thank the county residents for heeding that. Now that we got rain, it can happen again. Thank you.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Hostler?
Aye.
Vanderwall?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item G, action to approve resolution number 24-53, A resolution declaring jurisdictional change of a portion of 34th Avenue and 30th Street, the landfill road. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Comments?
So currently, right now, the way this segment sits without passage of this is anything outside the roadway, if there was an application for a driveway or a utility permit, that the county would have jurisdictional control and would have to make passage of those or acceptance of those certain utility permits with the adoption of this, and also this would need to be passed with the city, is that would relinquish all control to the city, and they would have control of that entire right-of-way.
Okay. Any questions for Brian?
Makes sense.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Vanderwall.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Hostler.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item H, action to approve resolution number 24-54, a resolution approving annexation of territories by the city of Volga. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments?
The city of Volga approved this annexation. Their resolution was attached. They approved that back earlier this month. State statute requires the county to approve that annexation.
Okay. Any questions? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Bartley.
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Hostler.
Aye.
Vanderwall.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item I, action to approve agreement number 24-92, the 2025 Memorandum of Understanding Addendum between South Dakota State University and Brookings County. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments?
This updates the 2024 MOU that is currently in place. The only changes are the salary change, which is budgeted for in 2025, and it looks like Sonia is getting a new title from 4-H Youth Program Advisor to 4-H Educator. So instead of kind of recreating that whole document, they just presented just the changes to the MOU.
And this is wages, half the wages for the person.
Correct.
Okay. Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Krogman.
Aye.
Hostler.
Aye.
Vanderwall.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item J, action to approve agreement number 24-93, a wetlands functional capacity unit credits purchase contract. Hatch Wetland Mitigation Bank Site for $19,880. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments?
I have Banner and Associates, Colin Zwosti here to speak on this. Go ahead, Colin.
Yeah, so this item, purchase for the wetland credit, and the next item on your agenda. These are both for bridge replacement projects that receive bid grants, and we bid the projects and they've been awarded. So construction will start next year. This is a condition of the Corps of Engineers nationwide permit, is that because of the impacts to the existing stream and wetlands, the county needs to purchase compensatory mitigation credits out of a wetland bank. So, and this
was because of recent changes to the
Yeah,
permitting process.
I'm not exactly sure what year the Corps of Engineers lowered the threshold, but the threshold for stream impacts was reduced significantly. And so this will be more common going forward on these bridge replacement projects. It just, you can't get away from it.
So each bridge project, culvert project that we have, if we get a 404 permit, we're going to be having to mitigate wetland.
You may. I think it's going to be more, with box culverts, it'll be more prevalent because I think they consider the length of the box culvert in the stream as an impact, regardless of whether it's going to fill in with silt later. Bridges may be less, depending on how much riprap is needed to be buried within the stream profile.
Okay. The other question I had, say this typical structure was under an 80-20 split with the state, do they pay 80-20 of this
No.
mitigation?
No, the cost for the permitting and everything is the responsibility of the local government.
And there's no other recourse for, we don't choose the site or the bank that it,
There's limited or Corps of Engineers approved sites or banks in South Dakota, and one is this Tatanka, which they were $28,000 per wetland credit. Otherwise, you could go through Ducks Unlimited, but they were at $30,000 per wetland credit.
okay. That's kind of a couple of questions I had with Brian the other day, and how they established the dollar amount. You know, we're essentially purchasing 1 acre of property, correct? Or it's impacting?
Yes. I don't know, I believe they called it their fair market purchase price. And I don't control that, so.
Yeah.
So is one credit 1 acre? Is that how it's, or?
I think it's not directly tied that way, but I think it's kind of close or an equivalent.
And so they basically said that because we're putting box culverts in, that we're affecting wetlands right at the site or downstream?
At the site, and it's, not just wetlands, it's the stream impact as well. With stream impacts, it used to be, the threshold was 150 lineal feet of stream, or I forget I think it was almost half an acre. I don't know what it is now, but it's significantly less.
Mm-hmm. Brian, what's the total acre? You got .123 on the one and
Point set one or sorry. 123 on the one and .083 on the second one.
yeah.
And you said U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service is the one that's coming up with what we need to purchase for credits?
It's Army Corps of Engineers.
Not
It's
US.
their permit, and I'm not real up to speed on environmental law, but I know.
Okay, so the Corps, do they have jurisdiction over certain waterways and not all of them?
Waters of the U.S.
Everything.
And I don't know at what point they cut that off, but it's pretty extensive.
So as soon as you get a 404 permit, this will be coming into effect then through the Corps?
Yes, a lot of your 404 permits, they'll come with this condition.
Mm-hmm. Okay, any other questions?
I don't like this, but I guess this is what we have to do, right?
That's,
Don't have a choice.
it's an added cost that we need to look at in the future when we're, every project.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned it being box culvert. I understand it's that the stream bed's being covered up by the cement of the culvert, where a bridge project may not be as much.
Yes, but then there's the riprap that we
Okay.
put in, and the DOT's recent adoption of federal highways tech brief for protecting shallow foundations adds a lot of riprap. So.
Okay. All righty. Any other questions? Call the roll, please.
Hostler?
Aye.
Vanderwall?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item K, action approve agreement number 24-94, a wetlands functional capacity unit credits purchase contract, Jandal Wetland Mitigation Bank Site for $28,644. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Same background here. Call the roll, please.
Vanderwall.
Aye.
Bartley.
Aye.
Krogman.
Aye.
Hostler.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item L is an action to approve a request to fill a vacancy for an office coordinator in the sheriff's office. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
A motion second. Any comments?
It's due to a promotion within the department.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Item M is discussion and possible action regarding maintenance options for 214th Street between 34th Avenue and the city of Aurora. We don't, I think we can have discussion for kind of postpone this due to Brian's absence. I wanted his input on this stretch and if we have some options to go with to maintain this stretch of road.
Well, although routine maintenance conditions have improved with the recent rains, we've been hitting this weekly or even shorter intervals than that. But conditions have improved out there since we've gotten some moisture. Additional things that we have been doing as the highway department is we set up traffic counters on November 5th, and they will be taken down today and put back up again today after recharging the counters. But a couple of options, one a little shorter term and on an annual basis, and granted these are prices that are in front of you or are prices that I received from other counties that have actually gotten bids. I know there's probably something closer. This was from Rapid City. This is, or Pennington County, I'm sorry, but this was applied per foot price is what they kind of have as a figure. That's the equipment to and the manpower to apply it, and then obviously the product. Longer term solutions after talking with Pennington County obviously and another entity, LTAP, is that we look at putting them a little more longer term solution out there. I guess it comes at a price tag, but you know, just say we get 5 years out of it, the per year basis is cheaper. I guess either direction we go, obviously it isn't a fully paved surface that everybody desires, but it would be a surface that'd be a little longer term, you know, depending on obviously the flooding out there. If, you know, something was submerged underwater, it's most likely going to fail, but you know, in the best of terms, I would hope that if we would get some favorable conditions out there and say we could make you know, the second option last 5 years, you're looking at a, you know, overall cost per annually would be $40,000, you know, compared to say, you know, $50,000 to $60,000 on the annual application of dust control. But I guess that's as, you know, high level looking at it. That those are the kind of the two options, talking with some other counties on what they do in these situations. We're looking at about 2.5 miles that we do this application to on either case, but obviously that would be in a hope that it wouldn't be underwater, and you know, our solutions we'd put out there for the temporary, you know, long-term solutions I know we're looking at is, you know, seeking out grant opportunities and that, but this would be maybe in the interim to get us to that point.
Base stabilization. Do you still have to do any of the, can you drop it down, dust control at all?
No, because it'd be an application of a double chip seal.
And that just gets rid of the gravel, basically.
Basically, it's a blotter road at that point. You know, it's not an asphalt surface. It is an asphalt surface, but it's not like an asphalt overlay. This would be just stabilize the base that's out there, possibly add some gravel in areas that need it, and then basically go out there and armor up the road and cover over the top. And essentially what the chip seal does is in essence just a roof to protect that base and shed the water off the road.
And that would help with like the washboarding and all of
Correct.
that, basically. It'd be like a.
Correct. You know, in intersection areas, I am familiar with the process. I've been through that process in Yankton County, and we would probably look at considerations of the intersections. You know, this is stating that it last in the intersections. I really don't believe that. We'd maybe look at putting some surfacing on those intersections where you got turning movements that would look at tearing this up. It's best if you don't have any of those movements on this type of surface because it's suspect to shear, and then you'd look at ultimate failure then as it would shear apart. But if you'd armor those intersections up out there, which we just have one, that it would help protect that.
Back years ago in the county, there was numerous roads that were blotted roads. Over the years, we worked to overlay those roads. They were blotted for years, and typically, probably every 3 to 4 years, we were putting a new layer of oil and rock on them, seal coating them, basically, using a little different material. But like Brian says, they can be tender if you have heavy equipment and stuff at the intersections. Otherwise, where you drive the main line, this would be a good option. The road just on the north side of Bruce, I believe we started out that as a double. Exactly what we did right here is a double blotter seal, and as it went on, it just it basically performs like an overlay.
Correct. And this would also be, if we were to make improvements out there, this wouldn't have to be tore up, obviously, unless we get a full reconstruction grant. But if you guys down the road would decide that, hey, we want to pave this, you can pave right over the top of this.
With this material basically as a double overlay, would it require any restrictions on load limits at all on this to help?
It would be incorporated in our spring weight limits.
Okay, so what would you be looking at as far as weight limits and what could travel on that road in the spring in particular?
Probably in this situation, we'd probably be looking at a 5-ton or a 6-ton axle load rating, where our other roads in the county are 7.
All right, so then that becomes somewhat of an enforcement issue for the sheriff's department to look at that.
Or carrier enforcement, more or less.
Or carrier enforcement, okay, because I'm always concerned when you have a temporary type of a fix that even with a double layer, you get a few people overload, it's going to break up pretty quick. It only takes a few trips and you got a problem when you
Well, any road in the counties, even with our asphalt surfaces, is susceptible to those movements in the spring. But this would be especially vulnerable
So I
in
guess
that
my
time of
next
year.
question is real quickly, which one of these options would you recommend?
I mean, long-term wise, I think realistically, whether or not we receive a grant, we're, 5+ years out on any of those, options. If we were to receive a grant, I would be more apt to push the second option, as it obviously the annual cost is a little bit lower, and And I think it would be an acceptable surface for the interim in between time. And as far as maintenance wise goes, I think it'd be less of a maintenance issue for us. I mean, obviously there's the potential to, have to improve some of those areas, but I think long-term wise, in between the time to where, we can organize the funding to improve this corridor, I think this would be a option that I think it'd be acceptable by the community.
Second question, when would you want to implement this?
I mean, if you guys were, accepting of this, I don't have it budgeted in my budget, but, it'd be something we consider towards the end of the year. I know we do that yearly, but I mean, this could be implemented as soon as next year. I mean, we're in the opportunity right now to where I could tie this in with my annual bid prices.
So we're talking about next spring or next summer to complete this project?
Correct.
We do have some leftover funds from the 20th Street overpass that were intended to be used on this stretch.
Only about 56,000.
Yeah.
But there is some there. And I would think too, based on the general fund surplus, that there may be some opportunity there to designate some dollars in general fund for this project as well at year end.
Did we have some funds for 214 put away already?
Yes, we do.
And that was how much?
Like 8 million.
No, it was not. No, it was a couple, 2 or 3 million maybe. I think 8 million was for a new highway shop. I think that's the dollar amount you're thinking of.
Why would we not appropriate from that fund for this?
That is an option as well.
But you could, if we're saving down the road, to potentially do a full there.
Well, I understand, but if it's a budget concern, we've got money sitting in an account we could appropriate for this as part of that 214 project, basically.
Yeah. We did have a funding workshop for 214th Street. We're working on that to give a presentation. It was some alternative grants that we can apply for.
Yep.
We need to work on that and get, I don't have my notes. I can't remember
Just found my notes. That's what I've been digging around here for.
Okay.
So we did have a meeting back at the beginning of November. I think I had talked about those before, about some of these state or federal grants. The road, one of the first steps is classifying it as a major collector to be federal aid eligible. That's happening, I believe. It's a process for the city of Brookings because they're changing their urban boundaries. That's not annexing it, that's not taking it over. It's just them changing those urban boundaries, which then would automatically make this a major collector within Brookings County. Some of the grants that were discussed, the Protect grant, roads that are prone to flooding, roads that have received FEMA funds in the past would be eligible for this, but in this project it would only be the portion of the road that may have received some federal fund or FEMA funding in the past. And I don't know, I don't know if that road has done that in the past or not.
No.
That would be site-specific, so say one stretch of 500-600 feet, that would qualify for that grant, which we didn't really think that was a viable option.
The RAISE grant, similar to what was received for the interchange project, those applications here are coming up soon at the end of January. Projects must be between 1 million and 25 million. There's a couple different ways to go about that. There is the construction grant, again, what we received for the interchange project, and then there's a planning grant. So the first step would get a recommendation letter from the state, basically gets the project bid ready, is my understanding. And again, end of January next year is that deadline. rural grant that closed in July, so we're kind of out of the time frame there. There's some congressional designated spending. This is discretionary dollars that our federal legislators have. You would be needing to be in direct contact with those individuals to see if they'd be willing to spend some of their discretionary dollars on this project. And then another thing that was mentioned at the state level is the infrastructure bank. This basically is putting a loan against our STP funds, or our STIP funds. So yeah, we would not be getting, they'd be withholding our STIP funds until a loan is repaid. I think generally there was sort of a consensus in that meeting that maybe the planning grant is something to look at this point. It gets that project bid ready. I think the state, it sounded like the state would probably be pretty amenable to giving the recommendation letter for a planning grant. Of course, the application deadline is coming quickly as well.
And that was another decision we kind of wanted to make if we wanted to pursue this planning grant. Brian, you had some recommendations on this also.
Well, either way, we're looking at an expense to apply for any of these grants, and that was a big discussion with the state, is to prepare these grants. We're looking at the tune of about $70,000, give or take. I guess it would be, in my opinion, taking out of that, being in that meeting and hearing what the, state planning guys had to say is the planning grant would, get us in position to be considered for those, actual build grants. But either way, we do the planning grant, whether or not we receive the funding for the actual on-ground construction. We could use those plans on our own to expend our own dollars if that was what the commission would decide. I guess anything's better than nothing, but there again, it's a heck of a price to pay to not know whether or not you're going to get this. But looking at the whole picture, if we're going to have to spend roughly $1 million a mile for design, $70,000 seems pretty cheap.
Yeah. And with the planning grant, like Brian said, at least we can use those plans if we choose to replace structures or roadway. We can use those plans.
So how much will be the grant? What will the grant do for us? We'll obviously save our money for the planning portion of it. So you said $1 million a mile for design. Is that going to help cover this?
So we'd be looking at probably any of these grants, and I mean, don't hold me to this, but we would be looking at a 20% cost.
But that 80-20 on the planning costs, but just to do the grant itself, it's going to cost us $70,000 just to submit it.
Roughly.
Okay.
Yeah.
As I look at the timing on that grant and that application, do we need to do option 2 anyway? Because it's going to take us a while to get through this process and maybe not get the funds.
I think it'd be a good move on your guys' part. I think that anything that we do going in the future we all know is not a speedy process.
Well, that's what I'm concerned that we need to fix the issue we adopted. So essentially, we adopted this issue. So I think option 2, to plan on your budget and our funds for next year, we need to approve that when? Tonight? Do we need to further look at that proposal, tighten it up a little bit, or are we okay with making a motion to option 2 to begin the process for us to take care of this, and then the other is a side issue to it as far as I'm concerned.
For Brian's sake, approving option 2 right now would be for his planning, for his bids and stuff, would be best to do as soon as possible. For the engineers to prepare the grant. It's due the end of January. Time probably is of the essence.
So do you want two separate motions on one to move forward with option 2 would be a motion I would consider, but do you also want to put in the planning grant as part of that option? Because the deadline's
Maybe
end
keep
of
them
January?
separate. I think maybe keep them separate.
Keep them separate. I'd like to make a motion for option 2.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to option 2 for long-term double chip seal on County Road 214. Any other discussion?
Don't hold me real close. These are high level, and I don't know whether or not these prices are going to fluctuate because we haven't obviously gotten our 2025 bid prices. I didn't put any fluff in that. I just used what we had for bid prices currently in 2024. So as far as price fluctuation, there's probably going to be some fluctuation, but I wouldn't assume a lot. But there
But
again,
that approval would come with the bid process. So
Sounds
we're
good.
covered
Yeah.
with that. We don't have to have a dollar amount in this one, just option 2 to the double base stabilization.
sounds good.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Bartley?
Aye.
Krogman?
Aye.
Hostler?
Aye.
Vanderwall?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, to the second part of that, do we need to make that decision today so that we get started on that application if the deadline's in January?
In my opinion, we should move forward
All
with
right,
it.
so what we're actually would be moving is to make the application for
The planning grant.
the planning grant. I'll make the motion to submit the application or start the application process for the planning grant.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second for planning grant for 214th Street. Any other discussion?
Who would prepare the grant for us? Is First District or?
I believe Banner would
Banner
be.
is who we have on retainer. That's who's doing the corridor study option out there.
Okay, so they would prepare the grant. Is that something they think we can get done in time, or?
That was brought up for timing purposes. First District could be used if they had time. Banners thought they would have time also. But either one could be used.
Okay.
So the best scenario is if they get it, prepared by January 30th, get it in on time. There's a lengthy process to do that.
But also, Larry and Kelly and Stacy, you may recall, a lot of these grants are very similar. A lot of the information that's asked for in these applications is very similar, so this would put us in line to apply for future grants. Now, whether or not that's going to be at a cost, that was yet to be determined, and no definitive answer was given for that. But a lot of the information that would be used in this could be used in future grant applications.
Right, the work that's already been done out there for a lot of that can be used, so. Okay, any other discussion? Call the roll, please.
Krogman?
Aye.
Hostler?
Aye.
Vanderwall?
Aye.
Bartley?
Aye.
Jensen?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item number 9, Commission Department Directors Report.
I have included some of the Veteran Service Officer October numbers with the report. For rides, the DAV van did 6 rides, and Beta, we had 6 rides there. 4 outreach events. Training, Matt Pillar, our VSO, did attend the American Legion Service Office Symposium in October. Also included with my report were some of those numbers that Matt had started to provide about money coming back through claims into the county, so that report was included as well. Other than that, the general fund surplus, I think I'd kind of mentioned that we're at 62% at October. It's due to second half taxes basically being collected in October. We're ahead of the 51% 10-year average, so that's what I mentioned as part of at year end looking at making some general fund designations there. Probably will need to do that in order to get below the 40%, but again, I'll be kind of keeping an eye on that here as we get to the end of November will be a good tell. And just as a side note, myself and HR generalist Kristen Witchy will be out of the office tomorrow and Thursday. We're going to Pier for the Safety and Loss Conference, which is a requirement to get our gold status for safety and loss control. So we will be out and be up here attending that conference that has various sessions that we both go to. So that's all I have, unless you, well, I should maybe go over some dates. Hold on, let me turn the page. Tonight is the 4-H recognition event out at the BCOAC. That meal actually starts at 5:15 this evening and the awards at 6:30. As mentioned during the BEDC report earlier, the Brookings Business Mixer is 4:30 to 6:30 out at the Research Park. That's this Thursday. Next Thursday and Friday, county offices are closed for Thanksgiving. I have RSVP'd for a couple of you for the Egg Banquet coming up on December 3rd. Those tickets were emailed out to you yesterday if you RSVP'd that you were going to go through the county. Then the next night, December 4th, is the Mayor's Holiday Celebration, also out at Dakota Bank Center from 5 until 8 or 8:30, I believe. December 10th is Communities That Care Key Leader Orientation, 10 to 2:30 out at Daktronics. December 18th, you need to make a big deal about this. We're going to have a retirement celebration for Commissioners Bartley and Krogman, whether they like it or not. That will be from 3 until 5 right here in the chambers. So the two of you make sure you have that on your calendars. Okay. And then looking out a little bit further ahead, we'll be closing at noon on Christmas Eve day and then closed all day on the 25th for Christmas. We'll be closed New Year's Day. And then January 7th is the first meeting of 2025. That will start with, at about 7:30, we'll be meeting up here to do department head headshots, and we'll do the board picture. We'll start a little bit earlier than normal, 8:15. We'll have oaths for newly elected and re-elected officials on that day. And I think that's Lori and Dan for officials. So, and then the two new county commissioners will do their oaths, and then about 8:15, and then we'll kick off the meeting at about the same time, about 8:30, but we'll just kind of roll into that. So that's all I have now. Now I'm done, unless you have questions for me.
Okay, thank you. State's Attorney's Office. Okay, Commissioners Vanderwall.
Thank you. Wednesday, November 5th or 13th, we had a joint powers meeting that morning here with the city guys. And then that afternoon, the 10-county meeting in Redfield. And I thought that was a good meeting, good time understanding more what's happening. Thank you.
Yeah. Commissioner Bartley.
Kind of a short report. I did attend the legislative mandated recount with Lori and Jen and my wife doing some of the recount that was mandated by the legislature. I think it went really smoothly, and appreciate your work and your efforts on both those to comply with the legislative requirement on that recount. Thank you. That's my report.
Commissioner Krogman.
I had no meetings, so no report.
Commissioner Osler.
Yeah, on the 11th, Veterans Day, I attended the Veterans Day program out at the Dakota Bank Center. And then on the 13th, we we had a joint powers board meeting along with Commissioner Vanderwall and traveled up to Redfield for that 10-county meeting. On the 16th, just this Saturday, I attended the Brookings County Republicans monthly meeting and gave them kind of an overview report of Brookings County, kind of what we had going on. We talked a little bit about elections and some stuff like that. Yesterday, we had a Brookings Outdoor Adventure Center board meeting. A couple things that they've got coming up. On the 18th, they have Santa Claus going to be out there from 4 to 7, so any community members or anything that want to come out there, Santa Claus is going to be out there. They're going to have a petting zoo, some animals and stuff. It's going to be a fun thing for the kids. And they're also going to have their yearly Christmas lights show. They've got those all up, and those are going to be going through the evening up through the holiday season. And that is my report.
Okay. November 13th, attended 10-county meeting. Like Commissioner Vanderwall said, it was a good meeting. A couple senators talked, David Wheeler and Stephanie Sauter. Stephanie, she thanked all the election workers throughout the state of a job well done. So that was a thank you to all of you. On the 14th, I had a pandemic planning pod review of the shot clinic that they did at the high school. I'd like to thank all the volunteers. They had more volunteers than they needed, and just unfortunately, not very many people came to get vaccinated. So on the 18th, yesterday, had the BCOAC Advisory Board meeting, and then last night, I sat in on a local review committee for Toronto Power Plant. It was basically a public hearing the public's concerns over the permitting process and going over the social and economic impact study. With that, that's all I have. Moving on, item number 12 is executive session according to South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2, parenthesis 1, personnel. Do I have a motion to enter an executive session?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried.